you to the live proceedings.
In answer to the question whether what happens when the president has a parliament that doesn't listen to him, I do not doubt that the president, with his wide array of powers and influence, could have used the parliamentary initiative through his party and others with which he works, or could work in a coalition of the willing to bring about the changes to the constitution that he seeks. The president's role in the conception and initiation of the Building Bridges initiative is writ large, and with it the panoply of power and prestige of his office. First was the handshake, then the BBI Gazette, which was appointed by task force was appointed by Gazette, which is an official government publication. The task force prepared a report which it presented to the president as president and commander-in-chief. Moreover, the president again appointed the steering committee on the implementation of the BBI report by way of a special issue of the Kenya Gazette. Their report was presented to the president at a state lodge. That everything about the process bore the imprimatur of state involvement. It was a presidential government project, and this was wholly antithetical to the popular initiative. Like Machiavelli's prince, the president's conduct is different from that of ordinary citizens. In acknowledging this plain and in spirit of fact, one does not thereby curtail the president's enjoyment. One might even say deployment of his personal or political rights. All it means is that the space upon which he elected to exercise his rights is reserved for ordinary citizens, the common populace of the Republic of Kenya, and it is not open to the president. It is out of bounds to him. The question is, first of all, hypothetical, but to my mind, the president does not shoulder any obligation to initiate constitutional changes. He takes office under and in accordance with the Constitution, and his duty is to obey and defend it in keeping with the oath of allegiance, not to change it. It follows from my reasoning that I agree with the learned judges that insofar as the president took certain actions at the inception of the BBI process, including appointing the task force and later the steering committee by Gazette notices in his capacity as President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, the popular initiative path, a preserve of the ordinary citizen, was not available to him for initiating any amendments to the Constitution. I would dismiss the grounds of appeal challenging that finding. Next, jurisdictional objections. I do not think there was any merit in the claim that the matters were either sub judice or were res judicata.
Right, and those are the live proceedings from the Supreme Court as the 7-judge bench deliberates on the BBI appeal case. Right there, Justice giving his deliberations on the same. And we move on. Termed as the most awaited verdict all year, the BBI appeal judgment that will be delivered today elicits a lot of reactions from different regions. Take a look.
Sisi kama Wakenya tuko tayari kuendelea na maisha kwa sababu BBI ikue isikue bado tuko na bado maisha itaendelea. Na vile serikali itatuongoza ndivyo tutaenda tu. Tutaenda kulingana vinye wanataka. Hatuna kizuizi ama kipingamizi chochote.
BBI ni kusema ya kwamba hii kitu itupilie mbali kwa sababu hii kitu haihusishi mwananchi wa kawaida. Vitu ambavyo vinahusisha mwananchi wa kawaida haviko ndani. Na kulingana na uchumi wetu imezoroteka. Na hii ni maneno ya kutafutia wakubwa kazi.
Ningependa mahakama, uamuzi wa mahakama ndio watatoa. Nitaheshimu uamuzi ile watatoa. Lakini kama ingekuwa ni mimi, wangetoa uamuzi ya kwamba BBI iendelee. Yes. Na tuende kwa kura ya maoni. Yes. Ni yangu ni ya kwamba Raila Odinga ameongea vizuri kwa sababu next year tunaenda election. Na hatuna wakati. So kama wataenda Supreme Court kukata rufaa, inamaanisha kwamba uchaguzi yetu ya next year itakuwa na shida. Time is running out. So na support vile Mheshimiwa Raila amesema. Mahakama ikikata ya kwamba BBI haiendelee, ni vizuri ikiwachwa hapo na tusonge mbele kama hiyo.
You cannot preempt what you're saying. That's preempting. So let's wait until that outcome comes tomorrow. I think that's the best solution.
Right. And here at Lookup TV, we'll be keeping you up to date as and at when the BBI verdict will be given by the Supreme Court judges. So do keep it here. And we switch gears to humanity stories. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has announced a probe into the killing of a 38-year-old John Kiri, a Boda Boda rider who reportedly died in the hands of police officers. IPOA's announcement followed after protests in Nairobi's Kayole area, where angry protestants, residents decried police brutality. Roger Muriuki with more on that story.
According to a statement given by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority chairperson, Anne Macaulay, quote, IPOA has received information on the death of a man at Tushauriane area of Kayole, Nairobi, pursuant to Section 25 of IPOA Act, which requires that deaths that result from police action or are caused by members of the National Police Service while on duty should be investigated. End of quote. IPOA will seek to establish whether the deceased succumbed to injuries allegedly caused by police officers enforcing curfew orders. Macquarie pledged appropriate action should the officers involved be found culpable, further stating that the agency is committed to being independent, impartial and fair. Kayole resident, the victim identified as John Kiiru, was clubbed to death by police officers on accusations of breaching the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew. According to Justin Gary, a resident who lives not far from the scene of the shooting at Tushauriane Matatu stage, John Kiiru was on his motorcycle heading home when he was stopped by police officers who started beating him up. He added Kiiru was not lucky because he was beaten to death during the confrontation. Esther Wanjiru, the widow to the deceased, said her husband called her shortly after midnight and told her that he had been assaulted by police, and since then she did not hear any word from the husband until the following day when he was found. Locals blocked roads and lit bonfires as police tried to take away the victim's body, which was still lying at the scene. Several shops were also looted and others vandalized during the chaos that rocked Kayole before the body was eventually taken. Roger Muriuki, Lookup TV.
Thank you, Roger Muriuki, for that report. And at the time when the Delta variant seems to be taking the country by storm, the disregard to the COVID-19 regulations by the political class has been as loud as the politics that they play. The directive to ban political meetings seems to have fallen on deaf ears as the political class do what they do best, congregate. With the government of the day enforcing law selectively, seemingly, whereby those without the power face the wrath of law enforcers, with others being killed for being out past curfew hours, while those that hold super spreader events go scot-free. Brennan Moy looks at the latest disregards by the political class to follow the Ministry of Health guidelines on COVID-19 regulations.
In what seems like an utter disregard to COVID guidelines, political gatherings took center stage just moments after they were banned. When directives are issued, the script is always the same. At the expiry of every directive and new ones having to be issued, a ban on political gatherings is always part of the directive. But as politicians will have it, the road to 2022 needs to be embarked on, regardless of the danger it poses on those they seek to take along the journey.
And the neighboring counties, to continue this nation exercise in readiness for the conference. We take this opportunity.
To them, the end may end up justifying the means, making the public sacrificial lambs to what they term as the greater good. Leaders from both sides of the divide have been leading the public in disregarding the social distancing guidelines as their supporters come in large numbers to show support, risking their lives in the process.
Kwa sababu ya ugonjwa tutasimama sana, lakini wapi nduru ya mgeni?
Proximity of fewer than 2 meters with no masks on is the picture that is mostly painted in most of these functions, some of whom have been victims of the deadly pandemic, but still choose to dance to a different tune than safety.
COVID ilikuja ikafunga nchi kabisa. Imesemekana hata kusimama namna hii haitakikani. Ati Raila asisimame tu aseme jambo. Lakini nimesema hata kama nimevunja sheria mpaka nisalimu watu. Sawa sawa? Sawa sawa? Hii shetani inaitwa COVID tutashinda. Hata mimi nilitembelea ilinitembelea ikijaribu kunichukua.
ODM leader Raila Odinga led a political meeting in Homa Bay in the name of prayer planned before the directive was given. At the same time, Deputy President William Ruto held a meeting at the Deputy President home in Karen. A shortage of vaccine with people scrambling to get vaccinated. You would think this would have been expected to bring about a change of behavior. However, the recent events is a clear indicator that not even the numbers rising and a shortage of vaccines in the country is enough to worry us. The common citizen, on the other hand, faces the brutality of police officers when enforcing the Ministry of Health guidelines, with the recent case being the Kianja Koma brothers, who are reported to have been out during curfew hours, where they sadly met their death in the hands of police officers. A classic case of when a politician is not involved, then the law applies. But when politicians are involved, we dance to reggae. The country, led by our leaders, has decided to play deaf and blind to the pandemic. Brian Amuai, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Right. That report by Brian Amuai takes us to our very fast break here on Trending News. But do tell me where you're watching us from and what your thoughts are on the BBI deliberations that are currently ongoing. Don't go far.
Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Look Up TV movement now. Want to grow your business? Broadcast your sermon, share birthday wishes, make funeral announcements, produce adverts and documentaries? Then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542 700 893 542 or email us on sales@look-up.tv.
Welcome to Look Up Guest House, Retreat and Prayer Center. When you first come in, we will be happy to receive our reception, then proceed to our cozy and well-equipped accommodation facilities. We aim to provide our guests with a unique, comfortable and worthwhile experience. Here at Look Up Guest House, we provide our guests with a continuous supply of room amenities. A cool environment for all your activities.
Look Up Guest House, Retreat and Prayer Center. For reservation, contact us on info@lookupguesthouse.org or call us on 0746 788 707. Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. The Look Up TV movement now.
Hashtag is Trending News here on Look Up TV, and you can engage with me using the SMS number 20374. What is happening where you are? What are your thoughts on the BBI deliberations currently ongoing by the Supreme Court judges? And you can also engage with me on social at Look Up TV on Twitter, Look Up TV on Facebook. Let me continue informing you for the next few minutes. And we move on. Suppliers and contractors who rendered services to the National Youth Service at the height of the 791 million shillings theft have petitioned Parliament to push for their pending payments. Payments to suppliers were stopped in 2015 following the NYS Scandal 1 and 2, in which nearly 2 billion was lost through fictitious procurement.
The suppliers and contractors were engaged by goods and services during the 2013-2018 period. Reforms initiated by Public Service and Youth Cabinet Secretary Margaret Kobia led to a freeze in paying the pending bills amounting to 5.6 billion Kenya shillings for supplies delivered to the NYS. The freeze in payment saw NYS suppliers undergo fresh pre-qualifications as the government moved to seal loopholes exploited for the theft. The prosecution had said the funds were stolen through fictitious invoices and multiple payments. The state then constituted a multi-agency team to verify all pending claims before payments can be effected. The team scrutinized all pending bills and claims up to June 2018. The multi-agency team comprised of officers from the National Treasury, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Attorney General's Office. To date, the suppliers say they have not received payments despite the multi-agency team concluding its work and handing over a report recommending that the NYS and the Treasury pay cleared bills. Roger Muriuki, Look Up TV.
And thank you for that report. Now, WHO has called out rich countries which have proceeded to give third COVID-19 vaccine doses, rejecting persistent calls not to do so. WHO strongly opposes boosts for all adults in rich countries because this will divert vaccines away from unvaccinated people in poor countries, leading to the emergence of more dangerous mutants. This move will likely compromise Kenya's plan to vaccinate at least 10% of its population this year. At least 11 rich countries are either rolling out boosters or considering to give booster doses next month. These countries include United States and most of the European Union. Moving on, trade associations in Kenya have asked for immediate reopening of the economy and ending of the COVID-19 containment measures issued by the government to reduce the loss of livelihoods from the effects of the pandemic. The trade associations backed the motion in Parliament, urging the government to concentrate to the measures to revive the economy and vaccinate people.
Huu ugonjwa wa COVID tutakaa nao na tutafuata sheria ambayo imewekwa, lakini sasa ni wakati wa kufungua economy.
Trade associations in Kenya are angered by the government's decision to extend the COVID-19 containment measures by another 60 days, terming it as unnecessary. In a joint statement, the associations from retail, hospitality, transport, creative and entertainment sectors asked the immediate reopening of the economy to reduce continued loss of jobs and business earning from the effects of the pandemic. They want the government to instead focus on measures to revive the economy and vaccinate more people. The association say there's confusion among business people on the orders from the president on one hand and the judiciary on the other hand on Wednesday evening. As the president extended the curfew and other containment orders, the High Court issued a determination that the orders issued to law enforcement agencies on the COVID-19 protocols are in breach of the Constitution. At the same time, there is a motion in the National Assembly urging the government to do away with all forms of lockdowns and concentrate on measures to revive the economy and vaccinate more people. According to the traders, at least 4.7 million Kenyans have lost their livelihoods since the pandemic hit the country in March last year, pushing more families into poverty. Earlier this week, the International Labour Organization said the economic labor crisis created by the COVID-19 pandemic could increase global unemployment by almost 25 million. The associations also lamented alleged harassment of their members by police, accusing some security personnel of carrying away products from bars and restaurants, in addition to outright extortion. Bars, Hotels and Liquor Traders Association Chairman Simon Joroge urged the public to lobby MPs to support the motion in Parliament backed by ODM and proposed Mvita MP Abdul Nasir. I quote, "MPs need to show that they care for the suffering of those hard hit by the pandemic by supporting the motion in the National Assembly, urging the executive to eliminate all forms of lockdown, curfews and travel restrictions and replace them with economically friendly containment measures and vaccination campaigns." Pubs, Entertainment and Restaurant Association of Kenya, Nairobi Chairman Franklin Bogo, said that despite the issuance of a new set of protocols by the Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary and the clear statement that restaurants closes at 9 p.m., harassment by the police is rife. Areas where police harassment is dominant include Karen, Langata, Kariobangi and Westlands in Nairobi, Free Area, Bahati and Kiamunyi in Nakuru, Kisumu, Kiambu Town, Malindi and Watamu. Angelique Opingo, Look Up TV.
Thank you, Angelic. That report brings us to a close, but not without reading what's trending, because what would trending news be without that? And on social, the hashtag BBI ruling is trending at number 1. You know, the proceedings are currently underway, being deliberated by a 7-bench Supreme Court judges. And this is following the BBI appeal case. And just to sample some of your thoughts, lawyer Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi says, Justice Kiage is the jurist of the year. And Justice Kairusa substantially dismisses the BBI appeal. Donald Bikip Korir says Lady Justice Fatuma Sichale has authoritatively put a brake to irrational exuberance of High Court judges engaged in judicial activism. And just to sample some more of your feedback, there is a video there of a Kenyan who appeared at the BBI ruling to protest police brutality and deaths that have allegedly, he says, been caused by General Hilary Mutyambai, the Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai. And just Waiko Wanyoike says, Justice Kiage is so right. Lawyers in public interest cases have a higher duty beyond the narrow partisan and selfish interests of their clients. And just to sample one more, under the hashtag BBI ruling, Daniel Kimutai says, the greatness of any nation lies in its fidelity to the Constitution and adherence of the rule of law, and above all, respect to God. That is a quote he quotes former Chief Justice David Maraga. And of course, one more hashtag that is trending at this moment is hashtag End Police Brutality KE. And the first on that is, of course, the video of the Kenyan who appeared before the BBI ruling protesting, stop killing us, end police brutality. And more photos of incidents where police have abused or violated members of the public. Just to sample one more. In the meantime, some Kenyans hawana shughuli na BBI, but because they are concerned about the ongoing police brutality, which is something that needs to be addressed, they say, and they say that this is sad beyond sad. Police continue to brutalize young people. Placards being lifted up there saying, is it a crime to be a young person in this country? Hashtag stop police brutality, hashtag end police brutality KE. And it's about time for me to live. This is Trending News. The hashtag is Trending News at Look Up TV on Twitter, Look Up TV on Facebook. I am Nancy Nalima. Thank you so much for watching.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through 0700 893 542 or send us an email to views@look-up.tv. We can't wait to hear from you.